Hey there, this is Kim Richey with John Broughton on Retrospectives on 3SERKC Radio. Happy 20th anniversary, John. Bye.
You're like Chinese boxes, one inside the other, inside the other.
All of us that grew up loving music would have loved to have had a relative who had their own record store, and I believe you actually did.
Yes, I did. My great aunt, she lived over in McConnellsville, Ohio. It's just this really tiny, very small, no intersections or traffic lights or anything like that in southeastern Ohio. And she had a record store that was just the first floor of a small row house, and we could go in and she would let us pick just bunches of 45s. We never could have albums. For some reason, but we could have as many 45s as we wanted to. And
what kind of stuff?
That was a good.
What kind of material will be a fan you're taking out of those bins?
Well, the things that I can remember, I remember I had a Love and Spoonful 45. I had some weird ones. I had Janis Joplin and Neil Young. I remember, and these are the ones I can remember. I can kind of see the the label on them. A lot of Motown stuff, because I can remember those labels, and just about everything, all kinds of stuff. Because I think radio stations here in the States weren't as specialized back then. You didn't have the just only country and just only this kind and this kind and this kind of station. They played all different kinds of music.
Right. So did that time trigger your love of music, or was it already there beforehand?
No, I think I always really, I loved singing always. My mother sang, not professionally or anything, but just around the house and stuff. But I always loved singing. I remember we were talking about this the other day, but she used to have to tell me, when I would go to bed when I was really little, and I would lay up there in bed. My sister and I shared a bedroom, and we had twin beds that were kind of angled in a corner. And I figured out when I was little that if I turned towards the wall and sang, it would bounce back to you, and you could sing really quietly, and it sounded really great, almost like the shower or something.
Yeah.
And so I would be singing up there just forever until my mom finally would come to the bottom of the stairs and yell up that was about it for the night, and I needed to go to sleep.
Looking back, do you think there was a universal quality amongst the performers that first started to inspire you? Something about them all that connected them? The first, but I just liked all different kinds of songs. I think, as you do when you're really young, growing up, and the lyrics really weren't very important. It was just the sound of the music and the melody and all of that. The first person that I really took note, I think, of lyrics was Joni Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I just couldn't understand how she could come up with those images and the phrases that she wrote. I just thought and still think that she's just amazing. In your early days, you spent some time in a folk trio. How do you look back on that time now in terms of your development as a musician?
I don't know if I'd call it a folk trio or not. I was in high school, senior in high school, and we tried out for this. One of the guys. There were three of us, and we were mostly, it was to get out of class. We would go and record some songs with one of the engineers that worked at the school radio station. And so we did that, and one guy that was singing with us, he said he knew of this restaurant in the bar. They were looking for, an act. So he said, let's go try out. So the night before tryouts, we learned 4 songs, and we went there, and, just on a lark, really, and the fellow said, well, just play me, I don't know, 3 or 4 songs. So that's all we knew. So we played him those 4 songs, and then he said that we got the job. And then we really didn't know what to do, because we didn't know, we didn't have any songs, or, we didn't have a repertoire or anything like that. So, or equipment or anything. And the guy was nice enough. He bought us all kinds of stuff so we could do the gig, but we played 5 nights a week, and we had to play, I think, 4 sets. So we had to learn 3 sets of material, and then we played the first one over again
at the end, because I think we just figured if they were still there at that point, that was really, that was their problem if they'd been there that long in the lounge. And but it wasn't folk music. It was popular music. What was going on. I remember just all kinds of things, and because I remember we did some Neil Young stuff, some Joni Mitchell stuff, just all kinds of things.
Now, you were certainly well-travelled. You moved around quite a bit before basing yourself in Nashville. Were you soaking up different musical styles and influences in your travels?
Well, I guess maybe, by default, I wasn't playing any place really, because I quit playing music after college and didn't really start. I played a little bit around the house for myself every so often, but not very much. And I didn't start up again until I moved back here to Nashville in '88.
And how did the first record deal come about for you?
Well, I had a publishing deal, which is where you write songs for a publisher and they try to get other people to record your songs. But we always were, doing song demos with the idea that maybe somebody would hear me and hear the demos and give me a record deal. And the way it finally happened, it was so up and down. One minute someone from a label would be really interested in you and what you were doing, and then the next minute they'd change their mind, and then someone else would be interested. So it was kind of roller coaster in that way. And I think I was on the downside of the roller coaster at this point. I just kind of got tired of it all, and I was playing with a couple guy friends of mine, and we just were playing for fun. We were doing this show, and somebody came up to me after the show, this guy, and he said, I really like what you're doing. And I said, I was packing all my stuff up, and I said, oh, thanks a lot, and kept packing my stuff up. And he said, my name is, I'm Luke Lewis. And I said, well, nice to meet you, and kept packing my stuff up. And he said, I'm over at Mercury Records. And I said, well, that's good. I said, how do you like it over there? And he said, well, I like it just fine. I said, okay, nice talking to you. And I left, and he turned out to be the head of the label. So after I found that out, we got to go. We arranged an appointment and went over to his office and played for him and Keith. And then, we talked back and forth for a while, and then finally they said I could make a record, and I said, well, I'll make a record if I could make it with Richard Bennett.
Uh-huh.
So that's how that happened.
Talk about when you first got to Nashville. Did you go there with a game plan of how you were going to get your foot in the door there? Did you find it a welcoming musical community?
Yeah, I think it is welcoming, but it's also it's overwhelming. I mean, if you play an instrument, it's one thing, but I think it's even harder if you're a singer. If you just sing and you're not really great like I was at playing guitar or anything, because it's harder just to kind of sit in with people or that sort of thing. But it's not like anything else where any other career that you kind of go to school for something and then you apply for that position. Their applications and all of that. Like there's a clear path of what you're supposed to do if you want to end up in a certain profession. But like to get a record deal or to play music or to be a songwriter. I mean, I got here and I really wasn't sure. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and it's intimidating and confusing and all that kind of stuff. So I worked in a restaurant, I remember, and a lot of it is just going out and meeting people all the time, and you just hope that at some point you're in the right place at the right time, I think.
Now, a lot of songwriters have a pretty good stockpile of songs up their sleeve when they get around to recording their first record. Was that pretty much the case with you?
Yeah, I had a lot of songs. I usually have a lot of songs when it comes time to make a record because especially back then, I was just writing all the time, writing, and that's also before you start touring, so or any of the other stuff that goes along with making records. You have all your time is free just to write. So I had a lot of songs then, and I've had a lot of songs for each record because I really enjoy writing. So whenever I'm not touring or something like that, then I write.
I read you quoted in another interview as saying that some of your early attempts at songwriting were attempts at writing something that would be accepted in country music circles, a surefire country hit, so to speak. Was there a defining moment when you decided that you were just going to write what you felt like writing instead?
No, not really that I could think of. I think it's just the same with singing or anything. A lot of stuff that you do. I think once you just get kind of comfortable, at first you're just kind of trying out different things and trying to find your way. So I was trying to find my way in songwriting and also singing as well. A lot of times when people start out singing, they'll really try to copy a favorite singer or something, and you have to find your own voice and your own way that you sing. So that was, I think that had a lot to do with it. And I was just learning about, songwriting, trying to learn a bit more about it then. So Nashville's one of the very best places, for songwriting. So I was lucky I wound up here.
Yeah. Is there any aspect of your songwriting that you labour over more so than others?
Oh yeah, the lyrics. Lyrics are the hard part. That's the hard part. It's kind of like exercise, It's really hard, and it's the best when you're finished. when you've come up with something, because it's really it's difficult to try to think of something new to say all the time, and anything you can think of say is pretty much just about been said already.
Yeah.
You just have to try to figure out a different way to say it.
And
but when you do have a good song, then that's just the best feeling ever, when after you've written something.
Are you one of those writers that has a notebook on hand all the time in case an idea comes to mind?
No.
No?
I should be. I'm not that organized.
You've had some good chart success with others covering your songs. Apart from the obvious financial benefits of that, has it also helped you in terms of gaining acceptance and credibility?
Well, I guess so. I guess it can't hurt.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're a difficult artist to categorise for those who like to pigeonhole their music, because you do like to diversify in your songs and your work. Has that worked against you, do you think, in terms of expanding your audience? Because people like to know what they're getting, sort of thing.
It'd probably be easier for me if I were, if I just did one really easy to categorize thing, I reckon. But I don't know. I don't think that. I think if everybody, well, I can't speak for everybody, can I? But I don't think that people listen to just one kind of music.
Mm.
So even if they say they like a certain kind of music, they still would listen to other songs. And I think people just like good music for the most part, and so that's kind of how I go about writing and recording. Is I don't record something because it's a certain genre or leave it out because it is either.
I don't think anyone could accuse you of making the same record twice because you do diversify. Do you get a little restless staying in the one style too long?
Do I what?
Do you get a little restless sometimes staying in the one style for too long?
Well, no, I don't. No, it's just the records are different. I think because they're, I make them with different. I've made them with a different group of people every time. So the musicians influence the music, and the producer, of course, and then just the kind of music that I might be listening to in between records. And I think I'm probably just easily influenced by a lot of things. And I like all different. I have a pretty short attention span. That probably adds to it too. But I like different kinds of things.
Yeah.
I like to be learning new stuff all the time and trying out different things.
You've had a fantastic array of producers working on your records. Has that been a case of just enjoying working with different people, or selecting the right producer to fit the moment?
It's kind of been just a coincidence. Not coincidence, that's the wrong thing, but wrong word. But the first one Richard Bennett, I sought out to make a record with him because I loved the stuff that he did with Steve Earle.
Yeah.
And then when I couldn't, I would have made another record with Richard in a heartbeat, made the second record with him, but he went out on tour with Mark Knopfler. So then I couldn't make it with Richard, and so I decided to just do it with Angelo because he and I were writing a lot and making demos. So that seemed like a good idea, and we did that. And then the next record, I was didn't quite know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something different, and so ended up with Hugh Padgham. And after that, that was Bill Battrell. I loved working with Bill. He was fantastic. And that was the record company suggested that. So, and I really, really enjoyed working with him. I think he's really talented. And then I made the last record with Giles Martin because, well, he was great to work with too. That was really fun, and he's really talented as well. And we had become friends. He says it's about 4 or 5 years ago, so I guess that must be right. But he came to Nashville on a writing trip, and that's how we met. And then I started going back and forth and spending a lot of time in London. The past few years, I spent probably more time over there than here. And so I talked to Giles about making a record when he was finished with, the Beatles' Love Project for Cirque du Soleil. And he said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So we made it over there, and I got to have my friends over in London play on it, and it was really fun.
Right, so it's pretty much been just a series of events that have seen you working with different people like that.
Yeah, I've been really lucky that way.
Talk about collaborating with songwriting. What do you look for in a co-writer, someone that you can sit down and work with? What qualities do you look for there?
Well, I think there really needs to be some kind of connection, between, for me, to write with somebody, you have to get on with them, I think. And it's nice. It's really nice if they see I can do music and lyrics as well, and then it's nice to write with somebody who does the same thing. Then it's a more even collaboration. I don't really like getting stuck with all the lyrics. That's not as much fun. It's more fun if you can play back and forth with someone, and come up with something that's a combination of the both of you. But people inspire you in different ways. You might work with them and I might just come up with all the lyrics that day, but because of something they said, or so it's different. It's different every time, even with the same person.
What about
it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
What about recording in the studio, Kim? Is that a comfortable place for you? Do you like that studio environment?
Yeah, the studio's great. It's really fun to be in the studio. You can just kind of hide from everything because you're just in this insulated, environment where it's just you and friends making music, which is one of the most that's what I love. One of the things I love the most about music is doing it with other people, playing with other people, or singing with other people, or writing with other people. I love that part of it. And when you're in the studio, especially if you're making a record, you just get so focused and absorbed in the making of the record that it's really great way to spend all your time, and you don't have to feel guilty about not returning phone calls and doing the kind of business that your everyday business you're supposed to do, because you kind of have an excuse, a little bit of one.
Talk about radio promotion of your work over there in America. I know American radio is very formatted. You've got your country stations, Americana stations, your college stations, public radio. Where have you found yourself most often scheduled? Where have they fitted you in?
Well, not in the country stations. That hasn't happened since the first record, really.
Really?
No. It would be, more of the, I think they're calling it, they keep changing the name, like adult alternative. And, or, I really like a lot of the public radio stations, too.
You've had some of your work included in film soundtracks over the years, too. Is that something you'd like to explore more?
Yeah, I really like film, and especially, I don't know about in Australia, but here in the States, it seems like a lot of the most interesting music that I've heard has been on television shows.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're I don't know, they take more chances. There, some of the music supervisors are just, have an amazing ear for music, and if they ever did a radio station, I'd listen to it all the time. There's do you have that show Friday Night Lights?
Heard of it? No, we don't get it down here.
That has an amazing soundtrack. Whoever does the music for that is really great, and I don't know her name, and also Grey's Anatomy is wonderful. And I had a song on Grey's just this year, which was really good, because I love the show too. So it was double. I got a song on a television show, and one that I really love as well. So, but that's where I'm hearing the most interesting music, I have to say, these days.
What about taking it one step further and writing a full score for a movie? Does that appeal to you at all?
I don't know that I could. I could write songs, but I don't really, I don't know that I could score, write this music. If they would accept me banging on a guitar and la la laing, it'd be great not to have to think of any words. I'd love that.
Just before I let you go, Kim, what's coming up for you in the new year? What's the plan for this year?
Well, I'm getting ready to go to the Bluebird in just about an hour, so I'm playing a benefit there, and then typically me scheduling myself too much, I'm leaving in the morning for London.
Oh, wow.
To go over to do a bunch of writing. Yeah, I did the silliest flight. I have to leave my house here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, goodness.
And because I live way out in the country, so I'll have to drive in and then leave my car and take a cab to the airport, but my flight's at 6. So I'm going to London and do a bunch of writing, and then I've just sold my house today. So when I come back, I have to move house. That's my big adventure.
Wow.
That's enough for right now.
That's busy enough, yeah.
I know. Yeah, so then I'll do some more writing and try to be writing for another record.
Fantastic. It's been a few years since we had the pleasure of having you down here in Australia. Anything on the horizon there?
No, I'll have to figure that out because I had such a good time when I was there before. I'd love to come and play again.
That would be great.
I think I'm, I haven't had a record out for so long, so I've just been writing and all of that sort of stuff for other people. And so it will be, I'm kind of just getting back into the touring and all of that. When I go to London, I'm going to speak with a booking agent over there, and we'll set up some kind of tour over there probably for springtime. So maybe at some point I can get to Australia again. That'd be great.
That would be fantastic. Okay, Kim, you've got a busy time ahead of you, so I'll let you get going. Thanks so much for all the wonderful music so far, and we look forward to the new material that you're about to start working on.
Well, thanks. It's very nice to talk to you.
And you. And all the best with the house move too. Hope that goes well.
Thank you. If I don't have a nervous breakdown, that's all I'm hoping for. That's the best case scenario at this point.
Terrific. Thanks again, Kim. Take care.
All right. Bye.
See ya.